What's going on, everyone? The market rocketed to the upside once again today as 81% of the S&P 500 closed up in the green. We could see all across the board, many different industries popped higher, and it was definitely another exciting day in the market as the S&P 500 made another brand new all-time high. But what's even more exciting is that tomorrow is set to be the biggest day of the week as we have some crucial inflation data set to release. News just came out about how Costco is increasing its membership fee for the first time since 2017, and its stock is moving quite a bit in after hours. And as we all know, the market is just roaring right now, so we have a lot to talk about. But either way, tomorrow is set to be quite an exciting day. So, Tom, let's get right into today's episode.
Yeah, the SPY had a fantastic day, so congrats to everybody who played the SPY up today. I know that a lot of people were looking for that breakout of like 556, 557, and we saw a clear break of that area this morning, and then we even broke above the morning high around 557.80, ended up all the way at 561. I mean, I can't believe the run that the SPY has been on, and just the run that it had today was fantastic, and this was fueled by many stocks. Like you said, Mike, the heat map was overly green today. We haven't seen one this green in quite a while. We've seen actually a lot of mixed action lately, I would say, between most stocks, but tech has continued to prevail. And looking at it today, tech prevailed, but so did everything else, like healthcare, even the oil stocks, and even some of like the uranium stocks like CCJ ended up having a fantastic day. So there was a lot of great movement today. Congrats to the bulls who played a lot of movement up. And I know there was a lot of profits in the profits channel today in the Discord from a lot of this movement too. So that was awesome to see.
You know it, but let's get right into the important stuff for tomorrow, and that ties right into the inflation report that will release 1 hour before the market opened. So basically, the biggest and most important data that everyone has been looking at in terms of the stock market over the past couple of years is, as we all know, inflation for multiple reasons. But basically, looking at the report for tomorrow, inflation has been slowly coming down, but it's still not at that point where the war against inflation has been officially won. So that's like the sentiment heading into this event. But what we can see is that for tomorrow, the inflation rate is expected to come in around like 3.1% on a year-over-year basis. But even more importantly, on a month-over-month basis, it's expected to come in right around 0.1%. And there was this really cool chart by JP Morgan today that basically shows their predicted, I guess you could say, results of the inflation data tomorrow, depending on where or at what level it comes in at. So we could see JP Morgan has a 2.5% probability of the month-over-month reading coming in below 0.1%. But if that does happen, they're expecting the market to rise by 1 to 1.75%, which I thought was very interesting. While on the complete opposite end, if the month-over-month data came in above 0.3%, which again, they're only assigning like a 2.5 probability to that, they would expect the market to close down quite a bit. And you could see the corresponding predictions for each month-over-month reading. But I definitely want to showcase this chart to, give it to everyone ahead of time before the inflation data comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting. I know that those probabilities look pretty interesting as well. Obviously, they're kind of expecting it to come in like somewhere between 0.15 and 0.25%. There's two readings right there that take up like 65% of their probability. And, those are obviously like where the market will move the least. But as you get to the opposite end of the spectrum, it is interesting. And it's just cool to see like what JP Morgan's looking at. So, because we always get that question, Mike, like, oh, what's the market going to do if this happens, right? What's it going to do? Well, hey, now you can actually see like what some of those like bigger analysts like JP Morgan are looking at here. But nonetheless, Mike, that is very interesting, and it's going to be a very big event 1 hour before the market opens. Hopefully we keep seeing inflation fall, and it looks like they're looking for that year-over-year number to drop down a little bit.
You know it. And then a chart that we've just been showing nonstop over like the past couple trading weeks is the seasonality chart, where the first half of July is the strongest 2-week period of the entire year. And the market has been aligned perfectly with its historical expectation. And I know a bunch of people made a lot of money, I guess you could say, riding this recent bull wave. But all I want to say is that, yes, that's awesome. But keep in mind that we have a very important inflation data report tomorrow, so make sure not to get too caught up in the euphoria, and to always make sure that no matter what happens, whether the bull rally continues for another 2 weeks or if today's the top, make sure that you're going to be okay. Because what we see time and time again in the stock market is people get so caught up in how much money they're making right now, but little do they know, if they don't have proper risk management strategies in place, all those gains can be wiped right away. So here's a friendly reminder to make sure to be trading in a smart, disciplined way with healthy trading habits. And I just want to give everyone this warning so we don't see any comments about people giving back their gains. But either way, we are still in that very strong period of the year. We could see going all the way to like July 16th or July 17th is normally when the rally tends to slow. But as we all know, when you have an inflation report releasing in an economy like this, it can definitely shift sentiment pretty quickly.
It definitely can. And whenever you look at inflation, it's been the prevailing factor over the past couple of years, right? And guess what? Inflation was transitory at the beginning, right? No, it wasn't. And Powell actually got asked about that today, Mike. And, there was actually a lot of questions that Powell was asked today as he testified to the House. And I thought that it was extremely interesting. One of the questions, they actually brought up that transitory statement. They were kind of like going at it now, and they're like, well, hey, like, what if you're wrong again, right? They talked about maybe some of the humility at the Fed from some of their past mistakes, but nonetheless, inflation is a driving factor, so be ready. Tomorrow morning, the momentum could shift. I will say, though, Mike, it looks like today traders were not very scared of it, right? I felt like today we were maybe going to see some chop or maybe an end-of-day pullback into this event, but traders just kept buying the market up, right? We ended up almost 1% on the SPY, which is a pretty good move. And whenever you look at the movement over the past couple of weeks, today was one of the best days.
Love to see it. And Tom, while you're on a chart of SPY, what would you say are the most important levels for SPY for tomorrow in both directions?
Yeah, so with SPY here, we obviously see a bunch of good price action in the short term, and we're at new all-time highs, so it's hard to say exactly, where we're going to end up stopping, right? I know that's on everybody's agenda every day, right? Where's the SPY going to get to tomorrow? Tomorrow, I would say 562 is going to be a good first target, and then 563, 564, but I think 565 would be a major level to get tomorrow if the SPY was going on a true bull run like it did today. I think that we could see like 565 being a nice whole dollar level. Every like $5 mark is usually pretty big, kind of like we saw with 555. And then even intraday today around 560, the SPY started chopping a lot at the end of the day. So I'm also going to use 560 as a good support for tomorrow, along with 558 down here towards the bottom. Those are some pretty big levels where the SPY was bouncing quite a bit today. And once the SPY broke 558 today, it just went on a massive run. So that's pretty much what I'm watching with support. I guess you could also say 556.80 down here as well, which was like the double bottom this morning.
All right, sounds good. And then we also can't forget about the stock that's really running right now, and a stock that has been just ripping over the past couple of years, and that is Costco and their new membership hike. So basically, as we can see by looking at CNBC's article, Costco hiked their membership fee for the first time since 2017. Costco has just been crushing it, and we can see that they increased their membership fee by $5, and that is going to start on September 1st. Their membership is going to go from $60 a year to $65 a year, and their higher tier plans are going to go from $120 to $130. So it's not the craziest hike ever, but when you have a $5 increase or a $10 increase across millions and millions of memberships, that definitely adds up for Costco. And, like I said, they've just been growing more and more and more. And I think the fact of Costco's perception of them being like a very high value based grocery store or wholesale store, you can say, definitely helps them in this economic environment. And, this is just like another thing that Costco is doing that's just continuing to help them. So keep them on close watch for tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely keep them on the radar. They've been so hot in the short term. They just keep running up to new highs, and it's been a stock that has been very resilient over the past few years. I know that it actually went really flat for a couple of years there between 2022 and the midpoint of 2023, but on this bull run it's been on, this has been great, Mike. Like pretty much since the breakout, they've ran up like 65%. I know that might not sound like a lot because of we've been looking at Nvidia and all these crazy stocks, but nonetheless, that's a great move from such a big company by them. And Mike, I will say this, maybe they're trying to supplement keeping those hot dogs at $1.50, people always bring that up and I'm like, well, how do they make up for that? Right? Maybe it's right here.
True that. And, as we look at Costco in the short term, yes, the short term momentum has been amazing. And there are short term scalp, momentum based opportunities with this one. So for example, if this stock continues to show bullish price action and continues to put even more pressure on its highs, there's again, opportunity within riding that momentum. But at the same time, when you look at Costco on a broader view and you see how much it is already up, not even over the course of just the past year, but even if you just look at it in a shorter term time span, you could say just over the past couple of months, the stock is up quite a bit to the point where it's a little bit overextended to justify entering at this point. The stock right now is over $900 a share. Back in just the beginning of May, this stock was right around $725 a share. So for a company like Costco, that growth is that increase in price in the stock price is a little bit overextended for me. So Costco has definitely long-term potential, but I would like to see it dip more before considering an opportunity with this one for a long-term perspective.
Yeah, exactly. And if we go to a weekly chart, there's times where the stock will just go up and up and up, but look at all these dips that happen along the way, right? And we'll probably see some volatility. Volatility, as Mike says, and we're actually gonna have a live Q&A tonight, but he says this all the time: volatility begets more volatility, right? And we've been moving so much that at some point, when people do start selling, I think there could be a little bit more of a pullback than usual, right? Because the stock's up 65% over the past year. So, in that case, a little pullback 20% wouldn't really be all that bad, right? And even on a charting basis or a charting standpoint, it's really not that bad either. But I actually do like Costco quite a bit as a company for the long term. I'm just kind of with you. I'm not going to be buying it up here at all-time highs at $9.15, obviously, whenever it was at $700 a couple months ago.
Yeah, it's better to wait for when all the unloyal short-term money starts to panic sell this one and everyone rushes for the exit all at once. That's when the best long-term opportunities are. But either way, good stuff with Costco. And then, Tom, I know we were talking about this before we started tonight's video, but we actually have some news about senators striking a bipartisan deal for a potential ban on stock trading by members of Congress. I almost can't believe this, but at the same time, who's to say the probability of something like this actually being passed?
I know, right? Because it's how are you going to get this passed? Because at the end of the day, what are you going to do? Are you going to ban people from, investing for the long term and stuff too? Obviously, there might be a lot of stuff going into this, but from what I was reading, I mean, it's just going to pretty much straight up ban members of Congress and their family. It's going to pretty much take away their ability to buy and sell stocks. I mean, I thought that was a very interesting thing there. Now, obviously, there's a lot of information to this. There could be stuff where, maybe for a super long-term retirement plan or something, that stuff might be allowed, right? But I don't know exactly the details, and I'm sure that we'll hear a lot more about this. But I did hear that the effort picked up more steam as Nancy Pelosi dropped her opposition to it. I thought that was pretty interesting to read too, because we're always talking about Nancy's crazy trades out here, on Nvidia and PANW and others.
Yeah, I think people are getting more and more skeptical about how members of Congress are out here crushing everyone else's investment returns, whether it be retail traders, individual private investors, or even those who work in the professional side of finance and, manage like multi-billion-dollar funds. Everyone is just getting crushed by those who are those who are in Congress, and it's a little bit skeptical to say the least. So I'm actually very curious to see what ends up going, how this potential, I guess you could say, deal ends up progressing. But I definitely don't have too much confidence in anything like this actually getting passed. But either way, we'll see what happens. But I thought that was kind of entertaining for tonight's video. And then, Tom, for the rest of the week, we can't forget that we do have earnings season slowly starting back up again. So what is on the schedule?
Yeah, tomorrow before open, we're going to have Pepsi and Delta Airlines report earnings. I think Delta will be extremely interesting for the travel sector, so keep them on the radar and even watch other airlines like UAL, and then even cruise lines sometimes move depending on, how extreme the news is. But Friday, we will have all the banks report, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, not all of them, but, a few big ones there. So watch Friday for the banks. It'll be extremely influential. And then, of course, I know we already talked about this quite a bit, but just wanted to say it again. The inflation data, 1 hour before the market opens tomorrow. Don't let that leave your mind either.
All right, well, let's get right into the good stuff for today, which are some setups and predictions. A stock I'm watching very closely right now is WBA. This stock fell from the heavens over the past couple of years. Looking at Walgreens, they had highs of around $97 a share back from 2015. And now this stock is sitting at $11.26. So it's definitely been a brutal path for this one. But looking at Walgreens, basically the stock has fallen so much where it's getting to the point where like the risk to reward is getting somewhat tempting. The stock, even in the short term, is down quite a bit. Just from, you could say, the start of 2024 till right now, the stock is down like over 50%, which is a lot. And we're starting to see a little bit of bullish price action coming into this one. And I really like the potential risk and reward here. Basically, the stock's at $11.26. A stop loss can be placed around recent lows, right around like $10.70, right around that area. But profit targets can be placed all the way up to $12.70 to even high is closer to like $14.80 or somewhere around that level. But what I really like about this is that it's presenting an interesting risk-reward skew in the sense that, obviously short sellers have been hammering this one lower, but, in order to take profits and close a short position, you have to buy back your shares, which in turn puts upwards pressure on the stock. At the same time, Walgreens is a company that is not like some, I guess you could say, BS meme stock, kind of like Nikola from the past couple of years, where it can quite literally just go down like almost every single day. Like Walgreens does have some inherent value there, right? So I find it pretty hard to imagine that Walgreens would just rip to the downside and go to like zero or something like that. At the same time, when we do look at Walgreens, once you do start to see, some signs of life, kind of like what we're already seeing now, you also have like short-term, momentum style traders come into that, and you have a lot of long-term investors on the sidelines looking at stocks that are at very low points where they can potentially find a deal compared to some already popular stocks that are already up a couple 100% on the year. So between all of those reasons, I really like the risk reward here, and it's a stock I'm going to be watching to the upside in the short term, and I'm excited to see how it does, because this stock has been a crazy one over not even just the past couple weeks, but even the whole year.
Yeah, it really has. And I think that a lot of Walgreens downtrend has actually been attributed to competition. Where do people go now? A lot of people use like Walmart, and then even things like Amazon. They're starting to send prescriptions to people's houses and stuff. Maybe that could be a risk to Walgreens in the longer term, but I don't know. Maybe they'll adapt and start to do something. But in the short term, I definitely do like this dip. I like the risk reward that we drew out here. And even like if you only wanted to target like 1250 or something, the risk reward is still pretty good in the short term. And if it starts to fill that gap, it would look look pretty awesome, and I do like the support that it's starting to form around 11. So I'll keep it on the radar, Mike. It's a very interesting stock that, like you said, is so low, it's almost bound for like a short squeeze here soon in a way. But with my first play, I'm looking at Amazon. Amazon's in a pretty crazy setup right now. There was like a bit of a channel, or a trend, I should say, that it was following. I ended up bouncing below there today, kind of sitting right there towards the end of the day at that $200 mark. It's having a lot of trouble getting up through this level. We looked at it yesterday, and we're going to look at it again. 200 and then 201 overhead are major on the book map here. So if we continue to see Amazon have some good bullish price action, I'm just being patient, waiting for a breakout above 200 to 201. At the same time, though, I'm going to be adaptable. Like if we see a huge rejection here and we start to see a bearish price action like we saw intraday today down off of this trend, then I'll definitely watch it down as well. But, you know, with the market heating up as much as it is, I'm definitely having a breakout on the radar for sure.
Sounds good, and I definitely love to see the adaptability there. So good stuff. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely right now is SLV, and for those of you who don't know, this is an ETF that follows silver. It has been uptrending in a pretty strong way over the past week or so, but even over the past year. Looking at SLV, we also had a recent big money play on this one worth over $3 million, which was awesome, and it's already moving in a pretty good way. Given the fact that we have inflation tomorrow, depending on how that data comes in, it can definitely have a pretty big impact on the price of, you could say, gold, silver, and other metals, but also the sentiment associated with them. So either way, SLV is on my radar for tomorrow to the upside, but I'm going to say this pretty clearly. If we have, like here, when the inflation data comes out, if, let's say, the price action is pretty bearish for gold and silver, it won't really be worth trying to force this in like a bullish way. What I'm ultimately looking for is for the inflation data to come out, for gold and silver to either stay flat or to show some signs of bullish momentum building, and that is where like the ultimate opportunity would be. There's not really much point in fighting the direction of a metal like silver, especially on an inflation data day. But either way, SLV is on my radar.
Yeah, mine too still. You know, these metals have been hot, and I actually like the way inflation's been holding here on the daily. It's had about 3 great consolidation days in a row. It's holding its ground well, right? Like we're not seeing any major pullbacks or anything like that, and it'll be pretty good tomorrow with that data 1 hour before open. We might get a bit of a gauge in pre-market. Make sure you guys are in the Discord tomorrow morning, that's for sure. With my next play, I'm looking at CCJ, Cameco. They're pretty big in the uranium sector, and I'm watching them to the upside again. They were up almost 10% today, closed up 9.66%, and they're holding really high into close. So I really like this move with CCJ. Whenever I look on the daily, they'd been dipping a lot lately, but today was a great turnaround. So I'm going to keep looking for more bullish flows to come in here with CCJ, and even other uranium stocks like UEC is another one, and then even UUUU, which is Energy Fuels.
All right, well, it's now about that time for today's momentum plays. And with the first one, we have BABA to the upside.
Yeah, the China stocks were actually pretty good today. You know, I'm not going to say that they were amazing, but in the morning they had a good run. If BABA can re-break 76.20, watch it back up tomorrow.
All right, with the next one, we have Enphase also to the upside.
Enphase had a pretty good run, up 3%. If they break above 107.50, then watch for the upside opportunities on them.
All right, and now with the last one, we have Palantir also to the upside, and this stock has been moving pretty strongly lately, which I love to see considering it's a long-term holding of mine.
Yes, it has. It's been running up so much. I just scrolled back a little bit so we can see how it's been doing the past few weeks. And today it had a great recovery day after kind of falling off yesterday and actually broke above a major resistance. So if it keeps holding above this like 28.40 resistance and we get a good break above 28.60, then watch Palantir to the upside again.
All right, so looking at Palantir, Enphase, and BABA for tomorrow, keep a close eye on the levels listed. If these stocks break above the levels and move in a strong momentum-filled way, look at them for potential bullish price action. The stronger and more consistent the stocks move, the reflexively stronger they become. So definitely keep that in mind for tomorrow. And let's jump right into today's $540,000 big money trade. And we are looking at ticker symbol CLX. So this is Clorox, and it's a pretty boring company. It's certainly not as exciting as a company like Palantir or most other companies. But looking at the specifics of today's big money trade, they bought the 135 strike call options that expire on August 16th of 2024. This is a relatively shorter term big money play, considering that they bought just over a month's worth of time, and these call options are still out of the money. Looking at CLX in the short term, over the past couple of weeks, it has shown some bullish price action, but it has definitely been pretty choppy over the past couple months. So looking at CLX, I really like the momentum that it had today, and there is potential for this big money play to move in a strong way. But at the same time, if this stock, especially gets below like that $130 area, or even like that $131.50 area, I would be a little bit skeptical, because again, this play doesn't have too much time to it, and it's still out of the money. So keep a close eye on the price action.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, right? We normally don't see, not all the time, right? But this is kind of like a slower, safer stock on the big money play here, and I like it. It is a shorter term play as well. This support is awesome, and like with the risk reward setup, I think it's actually pretty good. I like that support down there, like 130, 130, 150, like you mentioned, looking pretty good. And overall, the setup on the play is pretty hot here. If we came up to like retest 139 in the short term, and we're at 135 right now, we'd be looking pretty good on some of these options in the short term. So very nice with Clorox here. It's the 135 strike, which is like right at the money. I think that that's perfect for right now. And overall, I really like this setup for the big money play, Mike. We normally don't find some that look this awesome right at a support.
All right, we'll keep a close eye on CLX going forward, but looking at the market for tomorrow, like we said, stocks are roaring right now. We have crucial inflation data set to release 1 hour before the market opens. We are still in one of the strongest periods of the year for the market. Costco's going crazy, and as we said yesterday, it is an exciting time to be a trader, but make sure above all else that your day-to-day trading habits are, sustainable and disciplined and just smart overall, because it's so easy for, anyone to make money when the market's just going up every single day, even if they have bad trading habits. But where people truly get tested is when the market changes and when there are pullbacks and things like that. And the last thing we want to see is for the market to pull back and to have a bunch of people, get hurt from that. So here's a reminder ahead of time: trade in a smart way. Always respect your stop losses. Have a plan with every single trade that you do take, and follow the money. And just, again, use disciplined trading habits that you would, that are just sustainable and good for the long term. So definitely keep that in mind. And if you guys are new to the channel, consider demolishing that subscribe button. We post brand new videos all the time, and in every single video we cover big money trades, the most important news you need to know about, charts you won't find anywhere else, and we try to get all of this covered in like 20 to 25 minutes most of the time at least. But before we close out, Tom, I want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Steve, in the StockedUp Discord. They had a great post today showing how they made over $2,000 in about 3 days with MNQ. So you've been in the community for over like 2.5 years now. So great work there, and keep on rolling. But guys, don't forget, we have a live event at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight in the StockedUp trading floor. If you want in, we have a great coupon as well. Coupon code Big Money for the yearly plan saves quite a bit. Not only do you get access to these live events, but also all of our custom bots, the big money plays. You could chat with Tom and myself all day long, as well as all of the many other resources in the StockedUp trading floor. But besides that, thank you all so much for watching, and let's have a great day in the market tomorrow.